Approximately 2 years ago debuted the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and it was one of the first movies that I reviewed. I remember being so engrossed by both the film itself and the astounding story behind its development that I felt I had to make a video on it. The highlight for me was certainly Sonic's insecurities and loneliness and the wholesome way his friendship with Thomas evolved. Also, he wasn't as annoying as in some of the video games because his cockiness had its limits, and Dr. Robotnik actually was a match for him, making it actually suspenseful-ish. Rather than Sonic just being so great and irritatingly pretentious without any reality checks. So the first one was good, but did the second film manage to live up to its predecessor? In my opinion, yes it did. It was certainly possible for the sequel to feel very similar to the first one, so I'm glad it did try to have a different plot structure and a different moral. While the same ideas of family are present from the original movie, it also tries to handle the ideas of responsibility in relation to Sonic's powers. Even though the whole "your moment will come" thing felt a tiny bit forced, with Sonic repeatedly saying, "this is my moment" throughout the movie, the better lesson, and the one that is different from the first movie, is the idea of selfless heroism. Sonic was a hero in the original film, but it was to save his friends/family, the people he cared for. This movie better portrays a story where a protagonist has to check his ego, take accountability, and actively act righteously even if it isn't easy or personally fulfilling at the moment. As a result, this movie's message kind of builds upon the first in a way that's nuanced and meaningful, and I really thought that was well done. In terms of the humor, yep, it's definitely a kids movie. My greatest complaint about the humor is that Jim Carrey and Agent Stone were not that funny to me. In the first movie, Dr. Robotnik was actually kind of intimidating, with excessive intelligence and ability, but also fairly silly, and he delivered some great lines. In this one, he was more just crazy. That's not necessarily bad, but that's not automatically funny either. I'm sure in hindsight his jokes weren't that terrible, but I didn't find them anything special. But what was lacking with Dr. Robotnik, Knuckles made up for. I loved Knuckles' role in this movie. He was so stubbornly serious and literal, with little knowledge about societal customs or figurative language, that he was essentially the quote-unquote normal one that Ben Schwartz and Jim Carrey bounced off of. At one point, he yells at Sonic for constantly making jokes out of serious situations. It made me actually like Sonic's character more. His constant joking can be seen as annoying, but perhaps it's simply a way of coping with the gravity of his situations. Or he's just seen it on TV a lot. Speaking of which, I'm glad this film more recognized that Sonic is just a kid. It makes all his more embarrassing behaviors fit his identity better. And the fact that Knuckles calls this out, and that a large part of the movie involves Sonic having to mentally mature, / acknowledge the fact that he's not entirely ready to be a major hero, makes this childish personality make more sense from a narrative standpoint. Is it still juvenile at many instances? Absolutely. But it's acceptable. By far, one of my favorite parts was the one character I have not mentioned yet. Miles Tails Prower. How come he's the only one who gets a full name? Mostly because of the relationship he has with Sonic. In the trailers, Tails was kinda just there, but I didn't realize how much they'd actually focus on developing his and Sonic's friendship. He starts out as kind of Sonic's fanboy, but it was more charming than annoying. And then Sonic shows Tails what it's like to have a real friend. They have fun, they dance at one point. It was just cute, okay? It feels like Sonic learned from Tom how to show Tails friendship, and I appreciate that continuity. Tails' sob story about never having friends was a little on the nose, but the ultimate message of Tails and Sonic being able to relate to each other through shared, weird, yet special traits was still very nice. I should also bring up that the movie was kind of all over the place, but in a good way? Like at one point it all of a sudden just becomes a different movie about this woman, Rachel, and her fiancé, and it's really strange, but still really funny. Overall, this movie was just as silly and childish as you might expect. But also not, because it also had plenty of moments of sometimes forced, but other times natural feeling emotion. Contrary to what I said, it actually was funny, especially with Knuckles. There's this running joke about Sonic not being able to swim. Get it? 'Cause he can't swim in the games? And I thought there was more action this time. Like, a lot more things happened in this film than the first one. It's no longer just a road trip movie with a small action sequence at the end. Unlike the hour-and-a-half Sonic 1, this film is over 2 hours long. But it didn't feel like a drag, so that's good. Ultimately, I would say that this film is better than the first. while Sonic the Hedgehog 1 seemed more like it wanted to be its own, small, self-contained story that just made many Sonic references. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, on the other hand, really expanded upon the universe in a way that signifies its desire to be a larger franchise. And while the excessive franchising of movies is often hated on, I think this movie did it well, and I'm genuinely excited to see where these movies and these characters will adventure next. Thanks for watching.